The kitchen at the Westbrook Grand Hotel wasn't where most daughters spend their mother's signature charity event. But there I was, Claire Donovan, age 31, standing between the industrial dishwashers and the prep station, watching through the small window as 400 elegantly dressed guests mingled in the grand ballroom for the 20th Annual Children's Medical Foundation Gala. My mother, Victoria Donovan, stood near the stage in a custom Oscar de la Renta gown, accepting air kisses from women dripping in diamonds. This was her night, the event she'd chaired for 2 decades, the social pinnacle of her year, the evening where the city's elite gathered to write 6-figure checks and see their names projected on screens. I was supposed to be in Los Angeles. That's what she told everyone. Claire had a last-minute work conflict. I'd heard her say smoothly to at least a dozen people during cocktail hour, before she'd spotted me near the service entrance and gone pale. She sends her regrets and a small donation. The small donation comment had stung, but I'd expected it. 20 minutes earlier, I'd arrived at the hotel in a midnight blue evening gown, my invitation in hand, the one I'd purchased for $5,000 like any other attendee, since my mother certainly hadn't sent me one. I'd made it as far as the registration table before my mother intercepted me. "What are you doing here?" she'd hissed, gripping my elbow and steering me away from the entrance. "Attending your gala." "I bought a ticket." "Under what name?" Her eyes darted around frantically. "My own. Claire Donovan." "You can't. Claire, this isn't the right venue for you." She'd lowered her voice to an urgent whisper. "This is a very sophisticated crowd. Board members, corporate sponsors, the mayor. These are serious philanthropists." "I'm aware. That's why I'm here." "You work for a tech startup." She'd said it like I cleaned sewers. "These people donate millions. They're not going to relate to someone who builds apps or whatever it is you do. Software platforms for." "It doesn't matter." She'd glanced over her shoulder at the event planner, a severe woman named Diane who was checking something on her tablet. "Diane, we have a small situation. This is my daughter Claire. She's just visiting, but there's been a mix-up with the seating chart." Diane had looked at me, then at her tablet, then back at my mother with thinly veiled confusion. "There's a Claire Donovan registered at table 12. "That must be a mistake," my mother said quickly. "Table 12 is for the hospital board members and our platinum sponsors. Claire isn't. She wouldn't be comfortable there." "I'm perfectly comfortable. The kitchen needs extra hands tonight," my mother had continued, speaking over me. "Claire, why don't you help coordinate with the catering staff? You always were good at organizing things. It would be such a help." "Mrs. Donovan," Diane had interjected, "if Ms. Donovan purchased a ticket, she's entitled to." "We need to maintain certain standards," my mother had said firmly, her society smile frozen in place. "This is the Children's Medical Foundation Gala, not a casual networking event. The seating arrangements reflect donor levels and social positioning. I will not have the evening disrupted by inappropriate placements." That's how I'd ended up in the kitchen, watching my mother's event through a window while waiters rushed past with trays of champagne and Chilean sea bass. "Your mom seems intense," one of the sous chefs commented, arranging garnishes on dessert plates. "She has a very specific vision for her life," I said. "I don't fit the aesthetic." What my mother didn't know, what she'd never bothered to ask about, was that the tech startup I worked for wasn't exactly small anymore. 4 years ago I joined HealthBridge as employee number 12. We'd built a software platform that connected rural hospitals with specialist consultations via telemedicine. Started in a garage, typical Silicon Valley story. But we'd solved a real problem. Kids in small towns dying from treatable conditions because the nearest pediatric specialist was 200 miles away. Last year we'd gone public. The company was now valued at $8 billion. My shares were worth considerably more than my mother's entire social circle's combined net worth. I'd never told my family. After years of having my career dismissed as playing with computers, of being excluded from family events because I didn't marry a doctor or lawyer, of watching my brother James, a mediocre corporate attorney, get paraded around as the successful child, I'd simply stopped trying to prove myself. Until tonight. Through the window I watched the dinner service conclude. The lights dimmed. A spotlight illuminated the stage where my mother stood at a podium, microphone in hand. "Welcome, dear friends, to the 20th Annual Children's Medical Foundation Gala," she began, her voice warm and practiced. Tonight we celebrate 2 decades of life-saving medical care, groundbreaking research, and hope for families facing unimaginable challenges. The crowd applauded. I recognized most of them. The Hendersons, the Wuss, the Blackwell family, all fixtures of my mother's social calendar. People who'd known me since childhood but couldn't be bothered to ask what I actually did for a living. This year, we're proud to announce that our gala has raised over $12 million, my mother continued. Enthusiastic applause. These funds will directly support the new pediatric cardiac center, ensuring that children across our state receive world-class heart care. She paused for effect. And now, as is tradition, we'd like to recognize our generous donors. Please direct your attention to the screens. 2 massive LED displays on either side of the stage flickered to life. The annual donor list, organized by giving level, began scrolling upward. Friends of the Foundation, $1,000 to $4,999. Dozens of names. Benefactors, $5,000 to $9,999. More names, more applause. Patrons, $10,000 to $24,999. My brother James's name appeared here, listed with his law firm. My mother beamed. Champions, $25,000 to $49,999. The Hendersons, the Wuss, several corporate sponsors. Visionaries, $50,000 to $99,999. Smaller list now. Serious philanthropists. Sustained applause. Then the screen changed. Transformational Giving Society, $100,000 to $499,999. 5 names appeared. Old money families, a tech CEO, a real estate developer. People my mother spent all year cultivating. The room waited. There was always one more level. The screen went black. Then in elegant gold script. Founders Circle. Gifts of $500,000 and above. A single name appeared. Claire Donovan. Healthbridge Technologies. $2,500,000. The ballroom went absolutely silent. My mother's face, projected on the screens as she stood frozen at the podium, cycled through confusion, shock, and dawning horror in the space of 3 seconds. There must be some mistake, she said into the microphone, her voice thin. Diane, the event planner, rushed to the stage with her tablet. She showed my mother the screen. I couldn't hear their whispered conversation, but I watched my mother's hands start to shake. The crowd had begun murmuring. Phones were emerging from evening bags. Someone near the front called out, "Is that the Health Bridge? The telemedicine company?" Claire Donovan, another voice said. "Isn't that your daughter, Victoria?" My mother's face had gone ashen beneath her professionally applied makeup. I pushed through the kitchen doors and walked into the ballroom. Preston's mother stood next. The Whitmores pride ourselves on discernment. We recognize quality, achievement, legacy. Victoria represents all 3. She's joining a family of builders, people who create lasting value, not temporary fads. More pointed glances my way. More smirks from the Whitmore side. I checked my watch. 8:47 p.m. In less than 12 hours, TechWorld magazine would hit newsstands. In 13 hours, the digital version would go live. In 14 hours, my face would be on every tech news site in the world. "Cameron, you're being awfully quiet," Uncle Robert called out. "No opinions on marriage or success to share?" "I'm just here to support Victoria," I said simply. "That's wise," Preston's father said. "Sometimes the best contribution is silent support, especially when you don't have much else to contribute." The table erupted in laughter. Even Victoria giggled, though she at least had the grace to look slightly uncomfortable. Todd Whitmore leaned over. "No hard feelings, yeah? My family's just old-fashioned. They value traditional stuff: education, corporate careers, tangible assets. Tech startups don't really register on their radar." "I understand," I said. "For what it's worth, I think it's cool you're doing your own thing, even if it's not working out. Not everyone can hack it in the real world." "Thanks," I managed. The dancing began. Victoria and Preston's first dance was choreographed perfection. The father-daughter dance made Mom cry. The speeches continued. Friends praising Victoria's accomplishments, family celebrating her success, the Whitmores welcoming her to their legacy. Nobody mentioned me except as Victoria's sister who works in tech, or the one who does internet things. I slipped out to the terrace, needing air. The night was cool, stars visible above the manicured gardens. Running away? Victoria appeared beside me, champagne in hand. I don't blame you. The Whitmores can be intense. They're impressive, I said honestly. They're rich, she corrected. Old money, real legacy. That's what matters in this world, Cameron. Not whatever you're coding in your apartment. You seem happy. I am. Preston's wonderful and the Whitmore empire. Cameron, do you know what it's like to marry into real success? Real security? Real status? She sighed. I wish you could understand. But you chose your path. I did. Mom and Dad are worried about you. They think you're wasting your life. The Whitmores think you're unemployed. I had to explain multiple times that you do actually work, just not at anything they'd recognize as legitimate. What did you tell them? That you do freelance tech work. That it's not much but it makes you happy. That not everyone needs traditional success. She squeezed my arm. It's okay to be the struggling sibling, Cameron. Someone has to be. She went back inside, leaving me alone with the stars and my secret. My phone lit up. A group text to the executive team. Magazine confirmed for 6 a.m. release. PR teams on standby. Legal prepared for the media storm. Congratulations, boss. Tomorrow the world knows. I stayed on the terrace until the reception wound down. At 11 p.m. I said my goodbyes, hugging Victoria, congratulating Preston, nodding politely to the Whitmores who barely acknowledged my existence. Safe drive home to your apartment, Dad said. Try to get some rest. Tomorrow's Monday, I'm sure you have, whatever it is you do. I do, I confirmed. Mom hugged me. Thank you for coming. I know it's hard seeing Victoria succeed when you're still figuring things out. But your time will come. Maybe. I drove home to my apartment. A penthouse in the city's most exclusive building, held under an LLC for privacy. Inside, I poured a glass of wine and waited. At 6 a.m. my phone exploded. TechWorld magazine's digital edition went live at exactly 6:02 a.m. Cameron Hayes, the secret billionaire who built the internet's backbone. The cover showed me in my office standing in front of NexusCore's server arrays, arms crossed, looking directly at the camera. The article was devastating in its thoroughness. While the tech world speculated about who controlled the infrastructure powering 40% of the internet, the answer was hiding in plain sight. Cameron Hayes, 35, a Stanford dropout who's been quietly building a $8.7 billion empire from her downtown office. By 6:15 a.m., every major news outlet had picked up the story. By 6:30 a.m., Cameron Hayes was trending worldwide. By 7 a.m., my phone had 247 missed calls. I ignored them all and watched the news coverage from my couch. Hayes founded NexusCore 12 years ago with just $50,000, the CNBC anchor reported. The company now provides cloud infrastructure for over 60,000 businesses including Amazon, Microsoft, and Netflix. Her 64% stake values her personal wealth at $5.6 billion, making her one of the wealthiest self-made women in technology. The screen showed NexusCore's headquarters, our client list, our revenue charts. Perhaps most remarkably, the anchor continued, Hayes has maintained almost complete anonymity. Despite running a company that powers nearly half the internet, she's given fewer than 5 interviews in 12 years. Today's TechWorld exclusive reveals a tech titan who's been hiding in plain sight. My phone rang. Victoria. I let it go to voicemail. Then Mom. Voicemail. Dad. Voicemail. Preston. Voicemail. Catherine Whitmore. Voicemail. The texts flooded in. Victoria. Answer your phone right now. Mom, is this real? The magazine article? Dad. Cameron, we need to talk immediately. Victoria. The Whitmores are freaking out. Preston's father is having a cardiac event. Call me. I turned off my phone and switched to the business line. My publicist called. Cameron, it's insane. Every outlet wants an interview. The Today Show, Good Morning America, 60 Minutes. Bloomberg wants a documentary. Forbes is rushing a cover story. Decline them all, I said. I didn't go public for publicity. Then why did you do it? Timing, I said simply. At 8:30 a.m. I turned my personal phone back on. 847 missed calls. 1,243 texts. I scrolled to Victoria's latest message. Mom fainted. Dad's in shock. The Whitmores want to know why you didn't tell anyone. Preston's father says you made the family look foolish. Cameron, please. I typed back. Tell them I didn't make them look foolish. They did that themselves. Another message from Victoria. His family is humiliated. They spent all last night talking about real success and legacy while you sat there worth billions. Preston's mother is devastated. She told everyone you were unemployed. She told everyone what you told her, I replied. I never said I was unemployed. You did. My phone rang again. This time I answered. Cameron. Victoria shouted, her voice breaking. What the hell? You let everyone at my wedding call you a dropout and a failure, and you said nothing. You didn't want to hear anything, I said calmly. You liked having the struggling sister. I gave you that story. Story? The Whitmores canceled their honeymoon. Preston's father is humiliated. They compared you to real success all night, while you sat there worth $5 billion. Closer to 6, I said. The stock's up today. This isn't funny. Preston's mother saw the article and said, that girl sat there and let us mock her. She thinks you were laughing at us. I wasn't laughing. I was just being who you told everyone I was. You humiliated us. No, Victoria. You humiliated yourselves. I sat quietly at table 17 where you seated me and said nothing. You're the one who told them I was unemployed. You're the one who called my work playing with computers. You used me to look better. You could have corrected us. Would you have believed me? If I said I was worth billions, would you have listened? Or laughed louder? Silence. The article says Nexus Core runs the Whitmore Hotels system, Victoria said softly. Preston's father confirmed it. You've powered their empire for 8 years. We're very good at what we do. 8 years and you never told us? Why would I? You already decided I was a failure. A voice shouted behind her. Preston's father. Is that her? Let me talk to her. Cameron, Preston's father wants to. I hung up. 30 minutes later the doorbell rang. Through the camera I saw my parents and Victoria. They looked exhausted. They rang again. And again. Finally I opened the door. Cameron, Mom said, eyes red. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you what? That you were successful. That you built an incredible company. That you're worth billions. I tried, I said. 12 years ago when I started the company, Dad called it a waste of time. 10 years ago I invited you to our Series B party, you were busy. 8 years ago I mentioned big clients. You changed the subject to Victoria's engagement. Dad stepped forward. But you never said it was this big. You never asked, I said. You decided I was a failure and ignored anything that proved otherwise. Victoria's voice softened. The Whitmores want to meet you. They want to apologize. Preston's father feels awful. I don't need their apology. Cameron, please. This is ruining my marriage. Preston's family thinks I'm stupid or dishonest. His mother called me unobservant. Please just meet them. Tell them we didn't know. You didn't know because you didn't want to know, I said quietly. That's not my fault. We're your family. Mom cried. You should have told us. I'm your family, I said. You should have believed in me. Then I closed the door.